Oh, thank you.
Thank you, everyone, for coming out. This is such a great turnout. I'm going to take you through the state of the district. I refer to it as that because certainly we're not just one school here. We have 16. So we'll get started. So our community, obviously a very large community, one of the first communities in colonial America, believe it or not, and it is the largest municipality in Monmouth County with over 67,000 residents, covering 42 square miles. We're very fortunate in Middletown, and in this area in particular, we have access to lots of things, lots of art, lots of culture, many municipal parks, we're close to beaches, easy access to the city. So we are an attractive place for people to come and raise families, is the long and short of it. The next thing that I wanted to share, because this will be some of the work that gets done through strategic planning during this cycle, and the school boards will be leading that charge, is revamping our mission and our vision statement. Currently, we have a mission statement, which I put up here, and we, at our last strategic planning, created value statements. These are also listed on the website, and these have been part of the district strategic plan in the cycle of 2020 to 2025. So I'm not going to read these to you, but certainly they're there as a reference as we get into the work later on with crafting a new mission and vision statement. So who do we serve in the district? We have approximately 8,791 students, give or take, transfers in and out on any given day in grades pre-K to 12. We are the largest pre-K to 12 district in Monmouth County and one of the largest in the state with that number. We house these students in 16 buildings that are spread across those 40 square miles. We have 11 elementary schools, 3 middle schools, and 2 high schools. And if you take a look, and all of the charts that I pulled are from our NJDOE performance report that's accessible on the Department of Education's website. So you can see this demonstrates the enrollment trends by grade level across the district for the past, not this current year, but the 3 years prior to that. So you can kind of see those trends over time at the grade level and collectively as a district. What is our demographic breakdown? Continuing with who we serve in the district. You can see on the left-sided chart is our student group demographic breakdown going through female, male, non-binary, and undesignated genders into our other subgroups, economically disadvantaged students, students with disabilities, multilingual learners, students that are homeless, students in foster care, military-connected students, and migrant students. And then the other chart on the right-hand side is the racial and ethnic group breakdown. This is all information that we report on a yearly basis to the Department of Education. So, staff members, we have an outstanding staff here in Middletown. I've worked in a couple of different districts, and I have to say, we have just the finest educators, very high quality, very dedicated across the board, superior skill sets to many other comparable places around us. We have about 1,000 certificated staff members across the district, over 300 non-certificated support staff personnel, 48 administrators, a low overall teacher-student ratio. If you actually took the number of teachers and divided by the number of students, we would have a very low student-teacher ratio, or one of them on the lower side. That is not class size. Class size is something different. And 73% of the district's teaching staff possess an advanced degree beyond the bachelor's. Many of our staff members even have doctoral degrees. So we pride ourselves, and certainly I'll speak about our high schools first, on the quality of the academics that we provide for our students. We have over 350 courses offered at the high school level. It is by far the most I've ever seen offered in a high school. That spans from advanced placement. We offer 26 advanced placement courses and 23 dual enrollment courses where students can earn college credit while they're still in high school. And many of our students do take advantage of those opportunities. We have an extremely effective multi-tiered system of supports for our students in grades K to 8, and that starts with our interventionists, that we have at our elementary and middle schools. We have dedicated efforts to inclusive education, and over the last several years have partnered with NJCIE to expand our inclusion initiative within the district, and certainly that has gone a long way in ensuring that our special education students and other subgroups are fully included in the educational experience of our district. When you look at our test score performance, our standardized test score performance, we talk about things like the NJSLA, NJGPA, the ACT, SAT, and when you look at how we perform compared to the state average, we have historically as a district in these testing environments performed above the state average. That's not to say that some subgroups on some tests don't perform under, but if you look at our trend over time, we definitely outperform the state average in many capacities. We have infused over the last couple of years a robust evidence-based early literacy program. We have trained our staff across the district using the Orton-Gillingham program, which is a science of reading and very research evidence-based program, and it is paying dividends for our early learners. And certainly as they come through the grade levels and get into more of the reading for learning, we're going to see those skills show up in the success that they have as they get older and engage in those more intense higher level courses, because they will have the foundational components to be able to do that and the tools to be able to be really fluent readers. We're going to post this on the website, and at the bottom I did link our high school profiles. We spent a lot of time this year with one of our stakeholder groups, which we call the High School Experience. It was a group of parents who were involved in discussions surrounding what happens in our high schools. And we partnered with that team to create revamped high school profiles, which are really a very, very rich snapshot of just how outstanding our schools are. It culminates at the high school level and shows all that we offer and the success that our students have at the high school level as the culmination of their experience here in Middletown. So if you get a chance, take a look at them. They are fantastic. So some additional instructional program highlights, and this is more centered at the elementary and middle school level. At our elementary level, as I mentioned, we are using the Orton-Gillingham Literacy Program as the foundation of our early literacy program. We will be moving forward with Morphology, which is a word study program for grades 3 through 5 next year. For mathematics, we currently have a program by Savas called Envision Math for grades K to 5. However, exciting, we're going to be piloting 2 programs coming up in the fall at some of our elementary schools. So we will be piloting Amplify and iReady Math, and then a committee will convene to determine what will be our path forward in potentially a new adoption as we rewrite our curriculum, because it's time for that cycle to begin again for the math curriculum. In grades K to 5 for science, we use mystery science. We utilize Writer's Workshop for our students K to 8 across the board. In the middle school, we use Big Ideas Math in grades 6 through 8 and Accelerate Learning STEM Scopes product for science in grades 6 through 8. When you look at what we do beyond the school day proper, our co-curricular and athletic offerings are just as robust as our coursework. We have over 50 clubs and activities across the district at all levels, 32 athletic programs with over 60 teams. We have highly regarded marching bands, concert bands, and choirs, and we have award-winning drama programs. We just had the BC Awards and definitely received some accolades from our performances this year. Special task programs, and if you noticed on the slide before, earlier on where it talked about demographics and special education, you would have seen our special education percentage at 22%, and you might say, oh, that's kind of high. I think that's a compliment to what we offer in special ed. We have a robust offering of programmatic placements for our students in special education that span the gamut. Many other districts would have to send students outside of the district to receive these services. And I've listed them, and you can see where they are currently housed. Certainly, we've been having lots of discussions about how to create equity in these programs across the district. But I think it's important for everyone to have perspective on what we offer and where they are currently being housed in what buildings. So you'll see we have our autism programs in grades pre-K to 12, multiply disabled program K to 12, our LLD or our language learning disabilities programs K to 12, and some other programs that we offer, our ERI program, which is at High School North, our 18 to 21-year-old program at the high school, or also known as our transition program, and our pre-K disabilities program, which are housed at those elementary schools listed up there. Student services is another area that we have a really robust set of resources for our students and our staff. We have not only our own OT, PT, and speech therapists, but we partner with other vendors too to bring in additional speech therapists, OT, and PTs to support our students that have those needs. We have clinical therapists within the districts, including an art and play therapist that we put into place last year. We have BCBAs, or board certified behavior analysts on staff, and registered behavioral technicians. These are the people that work with our students who have some behavioral challenges. They not only work with our students, but they work to help educate our staff members in strategies and tools to be able to support students that have those needs so they can have access to learning. We have SACs, or student assistance counselors, at our secondary levels. That's in our high schools and our middle schools. And we also have our guidance counselors. We have our school psychologists, our school social workers, and our learning disabilities teacher consultants, which are all part of our child study team. However, our school psychologists and our school social workers can also offer counseling support, not clinical support, but school-based counseling as part of their responsibilities. They also work with our students on social emotional learning components at all levels. So as I mentioned, our student achievement is above the state average in many components, and obviously this is a snapshot of some of the data that I pulled from our performance report, and don't try to read this because it's very small, but when you have it on your computer, it looks a little better. But you'll notice that in the majority of subgroups, and in the majority of the assessments that we take, or our students take as a district, we do perform really well. We get into, I think at times, comparison across the district, and I caution because every school's demographic is a little different, right? So that matters a great deal. When we compare, we like to compare with schools like ours, right? So a school like the elementary school or the middle or the high school, demographically, that we're referring to, versus a cross comparison within the district. Because the demographics, as you saw before, differ vastly across our 42 plus square miles. So some of the assessments that we use in-house and also state-driven are, we put in 2 years ago, which was part of our literacy initiative, the Dibbles 8, which is an early literacy screener. Those of you that have elementary students probably are familiar with this. And it's really an early warning system for students that may be struggling with encumbering foundational literacy skills. So this has been really, really important in identifying students early to get support with interventionists to enable them to encumber those skills in a more intense environment with more repetition, and gradually be released from that type of support to be more successful in the general environment. We have put into place over the last couple of years our iReady benchmarks in literacy and math. They're given 3 times a year. That is a skill-based assessment that our teachers utilize to plan instruction and remediate learning challenges, and also extend our high flyers in the classroom. We also at the elementary level give the beginning reading skills assessment, the phonological awareness skills test, and our Organ-Gillingham benchmarks. We also, over the last probably 3 years ago, put in the cognitive abilities test, which we give at grades 2 and 5. We don't give it any years beyond that because they find that the results don't change too much after students hit a certain age. So 5th grade seems to be the cap-out place where the results don't change over time. This is something different. These are different than math and literacy skills. These are reasoning, spatial awareness, things that set the stage for success with analytical types of situations and problem solving. So all those foundational skills are important, but the application of those things really has to do with your aptitude with those cognitive abilities. And our state testing, New Jersey Student Learning Assessment, which we give in grades 3 through 11. Our New Jersey Graduation Proficiency Assessment, which we give to students in 11th and 12th grade. They get 2 chances. They have to pass that as their graduation requirement. And then we offer the PSAT, the SAT, the AP, and the ACT test. So lots of opportunities for information there. We also have a variety of digital tools that help to enhance the instruction for our students. Clever is our single sign-in, so when kids go to their laptops, they can sign into everything at once. It really saves a lot of struggles in our first graders trying to find the keys. They can do everything with the touch of a button. We have a variety of other things that you can see up there for a variety of different reasons. We do have a one-to-one Chromebook initiative for students in grades 3 through 12. We did move away from K to 2 having one-to-one. They do have access to technology, but they don't have their own Chromebooks. We have carts with Chromebooks that they have access to. After the pandemic and after, there was so much technology, we felt it was really important, particularly at the K to 2 level, to take a step back away from that. And developmentally, we didn't feel that it was appropriate for the littlest learners to have a device in front of them all day long, or access to their own device all day long. We have box-like boards in all classrooms, which are interactive boards. Some of you might have know the language smartboard. It's the same type of situation where it has a touch screen, you can interact, you can play videos, you can write over it. It is a really great tool for teachers to be able to present material, have kids come and interact with the material, and it's engaging. Safety and security is something that we definitely pride ourselves on across the district and have grown by leaps and bounds, probably I would say over the last 10 years. We have, as you know, Class 3 officers in all 16 of our schools, and they definitely have embedded themselves in the fabric of our school communities and really do have become part of those school communities, and they do a great job. We have safety specialists, or formerly known as security guards, in all of our 16 schools. We run monthly safety and security drills, which is a requirement from the Department of Education and also good practice. We have our Raptor visitor system for signing guests in, and we do have a really, really strong relationship with the Middletown Police Department. At any given day, with any given situation, we have a pretty direct line to get the support we need for some of those challenges where we might have to have law enforcement support us. So finances, we talked a lot about finances this year, so I think it's appropriate that we talk about it here as well. As you know, we've had budget challenges that have really compounded over time for a variety of reasons, so I won't rehash all of them here tonight. So as you know, this year, we exhausted all of our banked cap. We have gone up as much as we can in taxes, and that's all we can do, right? So we've exhausted all of those avenues. So in successive years, I think it's important that everybody understands that beyond this next school year, we will be back to only being able to increase that tax levy to 2%. That is the law. So unless the law changes, which none of us truly foresee happening, that will be the max threshold that we'd be able to raise taxes, because we do not have any bank cap to add on to that. What they do grant above the 2% is a healthcare adjustment to compensate for the rising cost of healthcare. And that's dependent on what happens in the state health benefit plan. We aren't a part of that, but they do give us a waiver to accommodate what we would anticipate to be an escalation in the healthcare rate each year. A couple of other items to note. We can only go up 2% plus that adjustment. All of our collective bargaining agreements, which are our contracts for how we pay people, are above 2%. So that's an important piece, because about 90% of our budget is made up of salaries. It's a huge portion of our budget. So if you have 90% of your budget that's going up beyond what you can raise taxes, it's pretty, obvious what's going to happen. Eventually, that's going to outpace what you can raise in revenue. Health insurance, transportation, and utilities are all increasing for all of us, even in our own homes, beyond 2%. So, we have a budget and a lot of uncontrollables that are going to outpace that 2% over time. So that's a challenge for us. As you know, this year, the board approved a tax levy increase of 10.1% on the school tax portion only. That's important to note. It isn't on your full tax bill as a resident. It's on the school portion only. And even though this happened, we still cut $6 million in expenses. Because if you take a look at the bottom right-hand corner, that slide that I put up there with our reserves, we need to replenish our reserves as well. Because as a mechanism for combating some of these challenges financially, we've used that fund balance and those reserves to help support our budget. So we are at kind of the end of that rope right now, where we need to be able to replenish those reserves over the next several years to provide that solid foundation again. I mentioned that $6 million purposely because even though we're raising taxes, we reduced purposely to be able to replenish those reserves, because that's an important part. So you can see those numbers up there. And both of these slides were part of Mrs. Doherty's budget presentation that she gave to the community a couple weeks ago. So another challenge for us are our facilities. We have 16 school buildings, plus the Lincroft Annex, which is going to be home to our 18 to 21-year-old transition program, hopefully by September of next year. However, I think it's important to note that we do have an aging infrastructure. Our oldest building is River Plaza, which is over 100 years old. Our newest building is High School South, and it's young at 51 years. So that is our youngest building. We've done no significant updates to any of the 11 elementary school buildings in recent project cycles. Several years ago we had a referendum, but none of that money went towards any improvement projects at the elementary level. HVAC work is a necessity across the district. That is 100% a fact. Not so much the rooftop units, but the actual units in the classrooms. They are, a lot of them, end of life, difficult to get parts for, and when there are rooms that don't have heat in the winter, it's not because necessarily we're ignoring the problem, it's because it takes a really long time to source the parts, because they're that old. So that is definitely something that we're going to have to face moving forward. We had a master's facility assessment that was conducted beginning in 2023 and culminating with the final result in 2024. And what this was basically our architect came out and did a massive, basically specking out of all the projects to improve the things that are a necessity across our 16 buildings. And they created lists of a variety of different projects and prioritized them, and also put a monetary value on them for how much it would cost to get those things done. So the areas that they evaluated was the actual site, like the grounds, the building envelope, which is the outside of the buildings, the building interiors, programming, I'll give you the simplest example. like building a science lab, because it's tied to a program. And then finally, anything that had to do with mechanical, electrical, or plumbing systems. I did put the total cost estimate for each of those areas next to it as a reference point. If you added all of those things together, you're looking at $750 million. Now, that doesn't say we do all those things, right? Some of them are higher on the priority list than others. Some are wish list items. But that is a really, really important piece of this puzzle, is that while facing these financial challenges, we are also facing the fact of an aging infrastructure that needs to be addressed. So, that's the overview. I tried to touch upon all the variety of different buckets that are important in, kind of the full district spectrum. And I hope it was informative, and I hope it gave you something to discuss tonight. Certainly in the things that we pride ourselves on, and certainly the things we want to continue to move along in the future, while also addressing some of the challenges that we all know exist. So thank you.